Ready to manifest the money, business, and life of your dreams? Do you wish you had more ease and flow in your business, your finances, your relationships, and everything else? There's a way to manifest simply, easily, and effectively without exhaustion, and I'm here to show you how. Hey there, I'm Elise McDowell, money mindset mentor and seven-figure CEO. And in this podcast, I will teach you how to reshape your money mindset, manifest consistent money, increase your business sales, transform your self-concept, and create the life of your dreams through the power of your mind. I'm here to help you go all in on you so you can go big in everything you're here to do. Let's get into the show. Hello, gorgeous people. Welcome back. Happy Wednesday or Thursday, depending on where you are in the world. Today, I want to talk about the art of manifesting and living a fuck yes life. And the reason I want to talk about this is because I think it's really important that we are living lives that are intentional, that feel good, and totally are a fuck yes. Who wouldn't want that? Who wouldn't want to be in a continual place of feeling like life is amazing? Now, that's not to say that life isn't going to have challenges or downtimes. But overall, since we are the creators of our reality, there's a lot of time where we have available to make it into the type of lives that we want. And a fuck yes life is kind of non-negotiable, especially here in the Girls That Manifest world. If we are women who manifest, girls that manifest, we obviously are manifesting everything that we want, not just some things. We're manifesting the whole shebang. We want fuck yes lives. So, in saying that, what a fuck yes life isn't about what you have, although it can be, right? It's totally dependent and individual on the person. But I don't want you getting caught up in feeling like it's about having the most luxurious or expensive or expansive life when you just really want to be a homebody and take care of your family and live a really quiet, slow life. I don't want you to think that at all. A fuck yes life is whatever is a fuck yes to you, right? It's not whatever someone else says is a fuck yes or should be a fuck yes for you. It is a life that feels like a fuck yes to you. Okay? So in case you are worrying about that or feeling like it has to be one thing or another, and it's totally not you, that's not at all what it is. It is about living an intentional life that feels good in your bones, that you wake up every day and you think, oh my God, I love my life. How lucky am I? I get another day. I'm so happy that this is my life, whatever that looks like, okay? So don't get caught up in that. Now, when we go into the three things I want to share with you today about how you actually manifest and live a fuck yes life, I really want you to come at this from the lens and the perspective of I am a masterpiece and a work in progress at the same time. I feel like there is this undertone of perfectionism that people still feel like they need to achieve in order to get it all, to have it all, to manifest the life of their dreams. And it's just not true. I need you to look at areas of your life where things have worked out, the things you have wanted has come through, or overall it's looking good, even when you didn't get it right, even when you made mistakes, even when you didn't feel good, even when it wasn't working, essentially. I need you to look at those areas of life and realize that you do not need to be perfect in order to have what you want, get what you want, live the life that you want. There's nothing about perfection required, right? It's about direction and focus that is important. But you don't even have to have the focus 100% perfect and 100% precise all the time. There is always space to explore, always space to make a mess, always space to make a mistake. There's always space for that. There's always room for that. Like I always say, this is a friendly universe. You have so much space and so much grace to do this, to carve out your path and do it messily while you create this fuck yes life of yours. But even living a fuck yes life isn't about being perfect, right? It's about achieving what you want, living the way that you want, feeling the way that you want. But none of that insinuates that it's perfect, right? So I want you to get this idea of perfection out of your head before we get into this. And if you do need to, go and look at other areas of your life where it wasn't perfect. You didn't have it right. It wasn't coming through. It didn't look like it was working. And it still happened. Right? Because that's going to be great proof for you that if you have this kind of belief or limiting belief or assumption that perfection is required, you can stop. busting through that. Okay, so how do we live and manifest a fuck yes life? What is the art of that? Well, the first very important part is you have to build out your intuition. You have to really learn to trust your intuition. And this comes from lots of work of tuning in, listening, and actioning out whatever is coming to you, right? Because when you do that, when you hear it, you listen, and then you take action based on whatever the guidance is saying, this is building trust. So whatever the results that are coming, whatever happens, this to you tells you and kind of confirms to you more and more that you can trust yourself, that you were right all along, that you knew it. You knew what was feeling good or what wasn't feeling good. Something in you was telling you it all along. And so this takes time to build. For me, it took me, I'd say, a good 3 years of being really, really deliberate and intentional with listening to my intuition and following guidance, being really soul-led, really trusting myself, even though something says, I don't know how that's going to work. That seems like a silly idea. Or, I don't like what that person said, or what they said, you really need to pay attention, right? It took a lot of time to listen to that, action out whatever I needed to, and trust it. But ultimately, as it did, and as it continued to confirm to me over and over again that I was right, I was right about that, it built trust. It built massive trust within me. And so I need you to start doing this. Start listening to yourself, because manifesting a fuck yes life, living a fuck yes life, requires a certain amount of inner knowing, inner trust that you've got this, that you are living your life on your terms, not on someone else's terms, not on the terms of what people on Instagram tell you your terms should be, or on YouTube. You are really listening to yourself. You are self-led. You are self-guided. You are soul-led. You're not getting swayed by the 3D, essentially, right? And so, for example, as you know, I went on a date last week, I think, or maybe the week before, and it wasn't a great experience. It was like, the date itself was fine. The conversation was fine. It was pretty standard. But how I felt in the date was not good. And to be honest, I felt quite bad that I was feeling that way. And so I shared, I think in the last episode, how this person was saying that he felt like his life sucked, his job sucked, and the only thing that makes him happy is if he's in a relationship. Then he can start to, see the world in a better way when he's in a relationship. And to me, I was like, oh my God, I don't want to be the one to fill that void for you. I'm sorry, I'm not there. But the physical response I was having, the intuitive response I was having was like, oh, I feel bad saying it. It was like repulsion. I felt repulsed to this. I was like, oh my God, no, I don't want this. I don't want this at all. But at the same time, because I've done so much work on myself and I'm really good at dealing with what's going on within me. At the same time that we were on this date, I was also inquiring within. I'm like going, hey, Elise, what is going on? Why are you feeling this way? And I felt awful that I was feeling this way because I wasn't trying to. It was like a visceral response that was coming from my body, independent of my mind. So my mind was like, hey, what the heck is happening here? What's going on? Why are we feeling this way? Like, are you really not giving him a chance at all? Are you just disqualifying him right now before you've even got your cup of coffee? What's going on? And I remember thinking, oh my God, am I still responding from, trauma, from the old attachment type, anxious attached type? Am I still responding from that? Is this really what it is? Like, you're going to let good guys go past because you're still dealing with this? And I was like, oh, I don't want this. I don't like this. But I don't know. I don't know for sure. Afterwards, I kind of came back home and reassessed, and I was like, okay, the only way I can figure out if this was me sort of responding from old patterns and cycles, or it was a genuine, no, it's not a match, is if I go on more dates. So I went on a date last night with a lovely gentleman. He was great. For lack of a better word, he was great. And the date went really well. There was nothing like spectacular about it. It was literally just meeting. But From the minute I sat down, everything flowed naturally. The conversation flowed, it stayed light, but it was interesting and it went to different places and I felt good and I liked how I felt and I liked how I represented myself, I guess you could say. In a way, it's sort of like you're coming in to kind of make a case for yourself of why you're awesome. But I felt like I had represented myself really well. I liked him. I thought he was cute. I thought he had a great presence, a great personality, a great essence about himself. His vibe was good and it was completely different from the person on this first date that I went on. And so after this date, I realized that the first date I went on, I was right. My intuition was right, although I felt bad about how I was responding viscerally. I was right. And so when little things like that happen in life, when you go and maybe you go to the supermarket and you want to buy something and it's not there, and then you go and ask the staff where you can get it from, and they said it's not coming until like next week or whatever, and your intuition is like, no, there's something here, like I can find it here. I'm pretty sure there's one packet left of this item here. And then you go around the corner because you remember you got to pick up bread and someone has dropped the package of the thing that you were looking for right next to the bag of bread that you were going to buy, and it was right there. You were right all along. So this is what I want you to really start to develop, your own intuition, allowing yourself to tune in first, right? Tune into the connection. Start to hear the voice of your own intuition, because a lot of us, we don't even hear it. You can't even hear it. You're not listening. The voice isn't even there, or if it is, it's very, very quiet. So that's the first step. Tune in. Then start listening. Listen to what this voice has to say. And whatever comes out, whether you agree with it or not, whether it terrifies you or not, scares the shit out of you or not, or makes you think, what? Action it out. Action it out and see what the results are. See what comes back. Because what you're doing there is you are building trust with yourself. And more often than not, you are going to wind up saying every single time that you listen to your intuition that you were right. Even if you had some pushback yourself, you are going to know that you were right. The next thing that you need to do to start living a fuck yes life and manifesting a fuck yes life is to keep your promises to yourself. I remember seeing, it must have been a YouTube video a couple of years ago where someone said how you build trust with yourself is you keep your promises to yourself. You show up for yourself, right? And so we're going back a little bit to what I shared in the first step is listening to your intuition, because it does build trust, but also keeping your own promises to yourself, what you want to do, and following through on it. Have you ever met a person where they've been too inconsistent and didn't follow through, and then you stopped trusting them? You stopped prioritizing them, they stopped being important to you, or you became more untrusting of them because they were that way? Yeah, this is what we do to ourselves far too often. We do not follow through on the things we promise ourselves. I mean, how many New Year's resolutions have you set and not followed through? I think majority of my New Year's resolutions I've said I didn't follow through with. This is about building trust with yourself, because living a fuck yes life requires that. It requires that. So for me, building trust with myself and keeping my promises to myself starts with just my daily routine. It starts with what I'm doing in a day. And when I moved, I decided that I was going to build a routine that I really enjoyed. A routine that kind of covered everything: working out, health, getting outside, being in nature, because I wanted to have a more of a seamless relationship with nature this year. It prioritized all of those things. And how I have been keeping my promise to myself is I've been doing that. So every day I work out, I go for a walk. I actually go for 2 walks now because we're coming into summer and the weather is just so beautiful. I do my work. I'm going out. So that was another thing that I wanted to do, is to step out of my comfort zone and go out and do more things with my friends, but also go to different events, try out different hobbies, just put myself out there. And everything I said I would do, I am doing. And since I have been doing that, the most unexpected, crazy thing began happening. When I started actually truly showing up and doing the things that I said I was going to do for myself, there was like a desire that activated within me for myself, a desire. If you split me into two people, one was the masculine, one was the feminine. It was like this masculine part of me was taking charge, following through, doing the things it said it was going to do. And the feminine aspect of myself just desired the masculine part of myself so much. And so I found myself having deeper love and connection for myself as I kept my promises to myself, as I keep following through on what I say I'm going to do or want to do. The desire for myself continues to grow. It's like fuel. It makes me want to keep going. It gives me a sense of pride and a sense of purpose. And I feel like I have this really good balance of the two modalities of masculine and feminine within me now. For a long time, I was just mostly in masculine energy. And then I spent quite a few years developing the feminine. And I feel like they're really balanced right now. And oh, wow, I didn't know that I could feel this way about myself. It just gives me fuel. I don't know how to explain it other than it's made me perform better in my life. It has made both modalities take care of each other in the ways that they do. So the masculine aspect of me is more of the worker, more of like the one who goes out and takes action. The feminine aspect is the one who takes care of me, who nurtures me and makes sure that I'm getting all of my bottles of water and I'm having enough vegetables and protein each day. It's just this perfect cycle that is working efficiently within me. It's working to 100%. And I never knew that could be a thing. I never knew. And so, of course, because those two modalities are joined, because I feel like I am fueled by it, I have so much space and so much time and so much energy for a fuck yes life. I feel like I am living my fuck yes life. So it is very important to keep your promises to yourself. And then the third thing that I believe is the art of manifesting and living a fuck yes life is taking flirty risks. So when I went on my date yesterday, going back to the date, because I love the date, my date, when I first got there, stood up, gave me a hug, kissed me on the cheek, and then also gave me a hug and kissed me on the cheek when we parted ways. But there were little parts where he put his hand on my shoulder, and it was kind of tender and sweet, but it wasn't too much. It wasn't like, you're being too touchy. It was just enough to be flirty and sweet and make me feel good, right? That's a flirty risk that paid off. Because it made me feel good. It made me feel like, oh, there's sweetness here. There's tenderness here. He can portray that. I want you to think about taking flirty risks in your own life. Like another example is, I have a neighbor who I think must be around the same age as me. And I think he works from home because he's always home. And my living room looks directly into his garage, which is his workshop, and he works there pretty much every single day. I hope to God he doesn't listen to this episode because it sounds creepy. I sound stalkerish. But I see him every day because I work from home and I work in my living room, so I see him every single day. Sometimes he's the only other human being that I see in a day. So this person features in my day a lot. Anyway, he has been there since I moved in, and I haven't actually met him. And I thought to myself, well, maybe I should. He's kind of cute. I have no idea what his situation is, but I should at least know his name, considering I feel really awkward that I see him so much and I don't know him. And I decided, maybe I will take like a flirty risk and kind of manifest some kind of interaction with him. And what I did in terms of a manifesting point of view, I just imagined like waving to him or saying hello, like acknowledging each other. And then I left it, and maybe a month passed. And then one day I was walking back from one of my walks up our street, and he was driving out in his truck. And I looked at him, and then he just waved to me. And so I waved back to him and smiled like a dork. I smiled so stupidly. Anyway, as the days have gone by, it's like we are running into situations where we keep seeing each other or keep having to walk past or drive past or say hello to each other. So we have this like running joke now where we're just always waving to each other. And now we're starting to talk to each other. But this is a flirty risk that I was taking, you know, because sometimes when you wave to people, they're not reciprocal. They don't want you to wave at them. They're like, oh my God, is this creepy woman waving at me? What is she doing? And there was a moment where I felt like I was a bit creepy. So I decided to stop it until there was one day where he was driving past and I was like, okay, I'm not going to wave. I don't want to creep him out. But then he literally leaned out of his window to make sure that I saw him and waved to me. So that's a flirty risk. That keeps things interesting, right? So I want you to think about it in your own life. How can you take flirty risks? And it isn't about just waving to a guy or girl that you think is cute. It could be signing up to the dance class and going solo. Not waiting for friends to be ready, not hoping that there are people there who want to dance as well. Just going yourself. That's a flirty risk. It could be asking that awesome girl that you met at one of the meetups that you went to, or the meetup groups that you went to, out for coffee instead of waiting for her to ask you. It could be sending an email, reaching out to someone who's in the same field as you that you work, and asking them if they want to be interviewed on your podcast. It's these little flirty risks that makes life really interesting. It makes life delicious. Because ultimately what you want to do is be a person who people are left wondering about in positive curiosity. They're always wondering, who is that girl? Who is that woman? What does she do? She's really interesting. Yeah, she waves to me a lot. Who is she? And the way that you become that type of person is you be that for yourself. Be interesting to yourself. Be flirty with yourself. Take risks with yourself. That's how you project that out into the 3D world, right? Remember, imagination creates your reality. So who you're being, how you're feeling, how you're seeing yourself is what creates the results happening out in your 3D. So to conclude, the art of manifesting and living a fuck yes life comes down to listening to your intuition and actioning out what comes up, because it builds trust. Paying attention to how you're feeling and experiencing a situation, no matter what it is, and deciding if it's a fuck yes or a fuck no is one of the biggest ways that your intuition can be built and strengthened. It's keeping your promises to yourself. It's showing up for yourself. It's following through on the things that you said you were going to do for yourself. And it's taking flirty risks. It's taking risks from a place of feeling like I am whole and happy on my own. I'm living my fuck yes life. And I'm going to take a little risk and see what happens here, how it pans out. It's being a person who people are left wondering about in positive curiosity. It's being a person who leaves an impression because you are impressed by yourself. So, my love, if you enjoyed that and you truly would like to manifest a fuck yes life, an amazing life, your dream life, down to the detail of what you want, I highly recommend you sign up to the Girls That Manifest Academy waitlist for our next intake in 2025. It's gonna be a good year. And also, I would love to hear what you thought about this episode. How do you feel about manifesting your own fuck yes life? Come over to Instagram and DM me at Elise McDowell. I'd love to hear from you. And once again, thank you so much for listening. Make sure you subscribe if you're not already a subscriber, and I will catch you in the next episode.